Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to this Solstice service, one of All Souls New London's favorite services of the year. I'm Reverend Carolyn Patierno. I'm one of the ministers at All Souls in New London, Connecticut. And with me this morning is Suzanne Wingrove-Haugland, who is the author of this Solstice cycle, Erik Wingrove-Haugland, Kaitlyn Elliott, and Maria Bariess. Bil Groth is on piano, playing the songs that we have come to love and have become favorites these past 10 years. Platt Arnold is with us this morning and will be sharing a story. Thanks to Tammy, as ever, for the visuals that will carry us through the story, and Jesse guides us through the technical details that make this service possible. Thank you to all who are participating this morning. And those of you who join us, I invite you to take a deep breath together and imagine that we are in a quiet and dark place. I invite you in the spirit of prayer meditation this morning. Deep, deep, deep in the heart of the winter, we nestle into the songs of our souls. Deep into the heart of our sorrows, we make our way to this lighted place. With melodies familiar, melodies that speak to the hearts of our souls on this longest night, beneath what will be a solstice sky, we open our hearts and move toward the light. Spirit of light and of love, bring us to a place of peace, a deep peace that will inspire compassion in every one of our interactions with both strangers and friends. Spirit of light and beauty, bring us to a place of delight, a deep delight that will inspire comfort in the face of personal loss and hope in the face of incessant images of death and destruction in the global community. Spirit of light and truth, bring us to a place of resistance, a deep resistance that will inspire a sense of agency against hopelessness. May our prayer, our meditation be one of persistence day unto day, nourished by the darkness, deep, deep, deep in the heart of our dreaming. May we dream a world that breeds love, beauty, and joy. May we rest in the sparkle of this moment, moved by the songs of our souls. Welcome to All Souls, where all souls are welcome. You are joyfully called to worship. Welcome. I invite you to join Kaitlyn as she leads us in the words that will kindle our chalice flame, the symbol of our faith tradition, a symbol of courage and of freedom. Kaitlyn, thank you so much for leading us.
When the winter comes, we gather. There is caroling, feasting, giving thanks, dearly loving our family and friends. There's hope for peace. So do we, here, now, this year, and every year, welcome Yule.
Welcome to the All Souls Winter Solstice celebration. In crafting this service, I wanted to blend three things: the transformative Christian church services of my youth the powerful pagan rituals of my adulthood, and the Unitarian Universalist principles of radical inclusion. My intention was to weave these ancient words and music together to create a holy trinity of a pagan, Christian, Unitarian, Universalist ritual, theater, peace, and revival meeting all rolled into one. In the house where I grew up, my parents' copy of the Time Life book series on evolution was on the bookshelf right next to my mother's King James Bible, and we kids read them both. Perhaps that's why when I read the story of creation in Genesis, I was struck by how the first creation story mimicked the principles of evolution. It started with void, then something spoke or banged, and then there was water, then dry ground, then vegetation, and then creatures in every shape and size. As those 7 days went on, life got so much more interesting. For me, those Bible stories and scientific texts were two sides of the same coin, reflecting one another, telling the story from two different angles. That is the sensibility that drives this service, which is in 3 parts: birth, death, and rebirth. For birth, I gather together our oldest creation myths from different cultures, texts from ancient Sumeria, the Quran, indigenous American peoples' myths, Lao Tzu, ancient Greeks, and the Old and New Testaments. I was fascinated by how these words from many different geographic locations and separated by so many years, nevertheless express similar themes, the words even echoing one another. So I took these words from different sources, cut them up, rewove them into a Unitarian Universalist tapestry. We begin by calling the 5 quarters or directions, which is also known as casting a circle. This tradition goes far back into human history. A circle creates a sacred space of protection and intention. In this version, you will notice the story of evolution in the words of the quarter calls, and these are reflected in the chosen words of the scriptures. We also honor the transformative storytelling of our ancestors with the tale of Persephone and Demeter, literally one of the oldest stories recorded in ancient writings. Versions of this story vary among different cultures, hence the 3 alternative choices for Persephone's journey to the underworld. The names change, the plot devices change, and the ultimate resolution is the same in the story and in our ceremony: transformation. Winter solstice isn't the time for weakness of spirit, for hibernation of late winter, or the casual laziness of summer. And this is never so true as this year of 2020. This is crunch time, time to pull out your A game. It's when we gather every bit of strength we have to face the darkness. In usual times, our church community in New London, Connecticut, joins together in song and ceremony on this night. Tonight, we gather on Zoom for the first time. I know out there watching, we have people who've never seen this service before. We also have people who have been in this service before and who have sung and danced this ritual through Unity Hall. And so tonight, we get to do it again, together as a community and church family. And we are also joined by people all around the country who have never seen it before. Our circle grows. We welcome you. We are glad you could join us. And so we begin.
In the beginning, there were only 2, the sun god and the earth goddess.
These 2 had one thought, and it was a mighty thought, that they would make the earth between the above and below, where now lay shimmering only the endless waters.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep.
When there was no heaven, no earth, no height, no depth, no name. When there were no gods.
In the beginning,
when there was no heaven, no earth.
God created the heavens and the earth.
No height, no depth, no name.
The earth was formless and void.
The gods were nameless, natureless, futureless.
Darkness was over the face of the deep.
When sweet and bitter mingled together.
No reed was plaited, no rushes muddied the water.
And the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters.
In the waters, gods were created in the waters.
Where now lay shimmering only the endless waters.
Look, it cannot be seen, it is beyond form. Listen, it cannot be heard, it is beyond sound. Grasp, it cannot be held, it is intangible. These three are indefinable, they are one.
And then it came about that these two had one thought, and it was a mighty thought.
And God said,
And God said,
and God said to him, be.
and God said, let there be.
God said to him, be, and he is.
God said, let there be light. And there was light.
name that can be named is not the eternal name.
The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. The named is mother of 10,000 things.
These two spring from the same source, but differ in name. This appears as darkness, darkness within darkness, the gate to all mystery.
We have always sought out the gateways of mystery, the gateways to darkness and to light, the gateways to the next step in what we can do, be, and understand.
This solstice time, this moment of cleaving darkness and light, this is the moment we turn to honor and reflect the passing of the darkness and look forward together toward the coming of the light.
And now we will turn and honor the corners, the directions which map the journey of where we have been before and light the way toward where we are going. To the east we say,
welcome, spirit of the east, spirit of air.
The earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep.
Once we moved across the face of nothingness. We were as the air. We moved and lived and had no being. You filled our lungs and gave us breath. Welcome, east and air. We honor you because we come from you.
Welcome, east and air.
we turn to the south and say,
welcome, spirit of the south, spirit of fire.
They had one thought, and it was a mighty thought.
You, south, brought the fire. You sparked the first thought that burst us into life. When the fire of our consciousness first said, I am, you lit our whole world on fire. Welcome, south and fire. We honor you because we come from you.
Welcome, south and fire.
we turn to the west and say,
Welcome, spirit of the west, spirit of water.
in the waters, gods were created in the waters.
To the west whirl the waters we were born in. Our senses first tasted life on earth in the ocean, bathed and growing for eons in our watery womb. Welcome, west and water. We honor you because we come from you.
Welcome, west and water.
We turn to the north and say,
Welcome, spirit of the north, spirit of earth.
Let the dry ground appear.
To the north lies the solid earth, where we first pulled ourselves up from Mother Ocean to Mother Earth. From you we grew food, reached out in community, and walked farther into our possibilities. Welcome, North and Earth. We honor you because we come from you.
Welcome, north and earth.
which brings us to the final direction, center, right here.
Form of the formless, image of the imageless.
Center is the direction of spirit, where the above meets the below. Our four directions signal where we have been, what we have been. Center is where we are right now, and center leads us where we are going.
Welcome, center and spirit.
Welcome, center and spirit.
Stand before it. There is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end.
I invite you to sing along with Erik and Maria. We are a circle.
We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. You hear us sing, you hear us cry, now hear us call you, Spirit of air and sky. We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. Take our fear, take our pain, take the darkness into the earth again. We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. The circle closes between the worlds to mark the sacred space where we come face to face.
The moment we became aware of the light was the exact moment we became aware of the darkness.
Thus was the end contained in the very beginning.
After the beginning, after language babbled down from the tower, after the flood,
At dawn, as we pulled ourselves up from the ground to gauge the horizon,
Turned to one another and spoke our words.
we told stories, many stories.
We spoke each other to sleep each night, dawning light into our darkness.
this is one of our stories of the journey between darkness and light.
The story of Persephone is one of the oldest stories we have ever told each other.
With each telling, the light pierces a little deeper into our darkness.
With each telling, the light we have to see by grows brighter.
Once, so long ago that no one can even remember when, a young girl named Persephone was walking in a flowering meadow on a beautiful day. She was the daughter of the grain goddess called Demeter.
The air was warm. The sun shone upon Persephone. She paused at a pond and looked at her reflection, staring back at her from the water.
What happened next is a mystery.
Some say she reached out for a narcissus flower, the most tantalizing blossom, and fell.
Some say she heard the voice of her grandmother, Hecate, calling to her from deep in the earth, and curiously stepped forward.
Some say Hades, the king of the underworld, came in his chariot and snatched her away.
What we do know is this: she disappeared,
Vanished.
Completely.
and no one could find her.
And then her mother, Demeter, came looking for her.
To you fine and glorious gods, whose beams upon mere mortals fall, tell me of Persephone. Have you seen her anywhere?
This we know. She tripped and fell.
Or curiously stepped into dark.
Or was ruthlessly borne away.
Where upon this fruited earth, or upper air, or windy sea, will I find my only child, whose fire breathes all life in me?
There is naught can find your child. None but you can bring her home. If you search in every place, you will find what you most own.
Where to find in this lurking place, where a child cannot be found? Whither, lords, to lead me there? Whither, lords, do I begin? There is no place can hide the child, who from my body born and bred. There is no stone left unturned. I will follow where she led.
She looked to the east, but found no Persephone in the clouds and winds of the air. As Demeter turned away from the east in sorrow, the air grew cold and the winds ceased.
Looked to the south, but found no Persephone in the fire and warmth of the southern sky. As Demeter turned from the south in sorrow, the sun grew cold and distant.
She looked to the west, but found no Persephone bathing in the western waters. As Demeter turned from the west in sorrow, the water grew cold and froze, falling hard against the earth.
She looked to the north, to the earth, where always before her daughter had been found. But she found no Persephone resting in the fields or dancing through the meadows. As Demeter turned from the north in sorrow, every grain and fruit and plant began to wither, to sicken, and to die.
Deep into the heart of herself, deep into the darkest pit of her own grief, deep into the cave of creation, Demeter withdrew. Without her, all life upon the earth began to die.
A great voice is heard in Ramah, mourning and great weeping. It is Rachel, weeping for her children, and will not be comforted, because they are no more.
And darkness came once again over the face of the earth.
Deep into the heart of the winter, deep, deep, deep. song but the song of my soul. Deep, deep, deep into the heart of the winter. Deep, deep, deep into the womb of the mother. Deep, deep, deep where there is no other song but the song of my soul. Deep, deep, deep into the heart of the winter. Deep, deep, deep into the womb of the mother. Deep, deep, deep where there is no other song but the song of my soul.
Having exhausted every direction, Demeter finally arrived at the still, quiet center of it all.
Persephone, whom none may name, by secret scheming has been thrown. No direction holds her place. No direction leads her home.
And a still small voice in the heart of herself replied,
Your daughter dwells in underworld.
Bring her back to me, my lord.
Seek not the living in the dead.
She cannot die, whose life's reborn.
Seek not outside what lies within.
Even in death there's living still. Though underworld, she dwells in light. The light she carried into dark will lead her out now, blazing bright.
The light in you must find the way. Another's light will only balk the path that you must travel on, the path alone that you must walk.
Though I'm in death, I'm living still. Though deep in doubt, I dwell in light. The light I carried into dark will lead me out now, burning bright.
Though my soul may set in darkness, it will rise in perfect light. I have loved the stars too fondly to be fearful of the night. Though my soul may set in darkness, it will rise in perfect light. I have loved the stars too fondly to be fearful of the night. Though my soul may set in darkness, it will rise in perfect light. I have loved the stars too fondly to be fearful of the night, fearful of the night.
Deep in the heart of the world, where earth meets no earth, Persephone heard her mother's queenly words. She cried out to her mother, and her beloved mother heard her.
Persephone, you've returned from the darkness.
In darkness, I turned to my own light.
You will stay with me now.
Until I must return.
Why must you return to that place of fear?
The only darkness I had to fear in the underworld was the darkness I carried there with me. That place of greatest darkness is the place I saw the greatest light.
How can you leave me?
I do not leave you. You find me everywhere. Wherever darkness meets light, you will find me.
Now the light and life will return to the earth. Now the flowers and grains will grow.
Yes, grow again each spring and die again each winter in a beautiful circle, life everlasting, world without end.
Persephone, you are forever changed.
Mother, I entered the underworld a frightened child, and now I am its queen.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Solstice doesn't happen in the sky or in a church. Solstice happens in our own hearts.
Every story we tell of light piercing darkness,
Of a child born in a manger, into poverty, in a conquered country.
Of lamps miraculously lit for 9 days.
of the solstice, the place where the great wheel of life turns once more towards the sun.
We are celebrating the beautiful light we carry in ourselves, where we find the light we have to see by and draw forth light to illuminate our own path and that of those around us.
We now release the corners, the map and pathways of our journey of life.
From the east, from the void and formlessness we come from, we thank and release you.
We thank and release you.
From the south, from the spark of intention that brought us to light, we thank and release you.
We thank and release you.
From the west, from the water we were born in, we thank and release you.
We thank and release you.
From the Mother Earth, who cushioned our feet upon her body as we returned from the sea, we thank and release you.
We thank and release you.
Which brings us to center, the final corner, the one we call from within ourselves.
And we walk forward boldly into center and spirit. We call out this light of spirit in ourselves and our world, and we pass that light on to each other.
We thank and honor these, the 5 directions that map the pathways of our journey to life. From darkness to light, from formlessness to form and back again, from air to earth to spirit, world everlasting, world without end.
Somewhere inside of winter there's a rush of golden light streaming all around you, and yet within you in your wildest waking dream, silence tells you secretly, hey,
So ends the solstice service, done differently this year, and yet the Spirit lives on in our hearts and our memory and in this experience of the solstice service. And so let us celebrate holding close the memory of what we just shared this morning and all of the years past. I invite you to place one hand over your heart and reach out to the community that is beyond. We hold close these moments that are different, and yet the Spirit of what has come before reaches out and to each of us as we move through these days. The light is coming. And so we go toward that light, holding close the Spirit of this community. Go in peace and return again with great joy. Amen. Again, thank you all so much for being here. There are a couple of announcements for you to know. There is this morning, right after this service concludes, a town hall meeting to discuss our building project. I hope that you will go to the eBlast, get the Zoom link for the coffee hour, and join us there. Bring your questions. We really need to catch up with each other. Adult Faith Formation is offering a class come January called House for Hope. It is an opportunity for theological reflection being led by Ann Kadlicek, our intern, myself, and Perry Montrose, our Director of Faith Formation. I hope that you will join us. Check the eBlast for registration information. We will see you again here on Christmas Eve at 7 o'clock. There will be one service then. The link, the YouTube link will be sent out, but it's the one you use every week. And we look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, Merry Meet, and we will see you soon. Go in peace.